Welcome to Slop Radio. I'm Eric Thomas.
And I'm Sonia Lee.
And this week we wanted to talk about kind of bringing your life into some balance. We want to talk about how do you do that, some of the work you can do, some of the techniques that we personally use to get that. And in particular, one of the ways to find balance and some inner peace is to throw away your old stories.
Stories, that was a big one this week too.
Yes, because we're all wrapped up in our stories of what we think we are, what we think has happened to us. Certainly things have happened to us, but we may not have the fuller or the clearer understanding. Shifting perspective can help bring some healing, so we'll talk about that.
Mm-hmm. We'll talk about this week's lunar eclipse and full moon, because that is also about balance.
Yeah, and it's so needed. I had a rough weekend.
Please, share.
Well, it started on Friday.
You're amongst friends.
I'm amongst friends and our millions of viewers. On Friday of last week, I just had a really rough encounter with myself and the story of what I understood later to be a story about myself, but something I believed about myself. And it really knocked the snot out of me for a good 30 hours, man. I was kind of questioning a lot of things, and I would use my practice. I would stop and breathe and say, okay, Eric, wait, this is running amok. I would catch myself, do some breath work, center myself best I could, and really examine, is this really true what I'm saying here? Mm-hmm. Is this really true what I'm feeling about myself? Asking that, is this true? Help me get to, it's not true.
Yeah.
Most of your life isn't true.
Well, you did take a very transformative journey this weekend, though, and actually went through a rebirth, a death, a rebirth, a transformation too.
I killed my old self. I took Eric Radwanski and I killed him.
Wow.
I said, you know what, dude, you have just brought me to this point, and I appreciate it, and I appreciate all the people and the love and the things that have happened and the lack of love that's happened, and I've needed it all. But you are tied to too much debris and too much story, and you have to go. And I just went around the full moon, and I said, hey, 2/14/14, goodbye.
Wow.
And you are gone, and emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, sexually, financially, all the ways and aspects of my life, I said, that person isn't here anymore. And I just let it go, and I surrendered it.
That's the word right there, surrender.
And you gotta have your practice in place to surrender like that. Mm-hmm. It helped me, because it's like, well, if I really do kill off this person that for 52 years has gotten me to this point, what's left?
Yeah, who are you?
Well, whatever new story I want to create,
Yeah.
which is part of all this work as well, but B, that there really is no story. Don't be any story, just be yourself. And all these things will happen in your life.
Yeah.
So you can create positive stories with a clear head and intention.
Sure.
But still, for me personally, in my practice, it's like, okay, but that's still a story. So don't get too locked up in it.
Which is about attachments and
Right.
co-creating.
Right.
Because now you are in the absolute starting point of co-creating Eric Thomas.
And exactly. And so now you're talking karma as well.
Yeah.
Because the choices I make will bear fruit later. So I have a different clarity about who's making these choices. Because the old Eric that was stuck in some stories about himself and aspects of self, they had to go. And actually, somebody, if you're seeing this, you know who you are. I thank you greatly for it, because I really needed it. So
Wow.
thank you.
Shout out right there. Heartfelt.
An anonymous shout out.
Yeah.
But you know what? Everybody shows up as our teacher.
Oh, goodness,
And
yes.
I saw on the internet the other day this little sign floating around that said, you've either shown up as a blessing or a lesson.
Oh.
And I'm like, well, see, there's humans' problem right there. Duality. It's the same thing. The lesson is a blessing.
Well,
it's judgment if the lesson is ugly or not. But they're not separate from each other.
Well, see, that's why I coined the phrase blessing.
Blessing.
Because it is both. There is a blessing
that.
in the lesson
Yeah.
and a lesson in the blessing.
Wow. Did you find that from Al Sharpton?
Uh,
I don't know.
Anyway.
No, that's more Jesse Jackson.
Back to, I did grow up
I
watching
like that though.
Sanford and Son, and he was quite the rhymer on that show.
I
I
love
love
that
the way
show.
I love the way he would put together 2, 4, 10, 12 words at a time, and they'd all just like flow.
It's brilliant stuff.
Okay, that's gotta go. Anyway, back to your story and finding the balance therein. I find it so just wonderful because I love the way these things show up for us in our lives, and particularly the time frame, because here you have this very personal thing going on, and then if you pull that back from the metaphysical to the metaphysical standpoint, astronomically and astrologically, we just experienced a lunar eclipse and a full moon in Libra, and Libra is about balance.
Yeah, so why am I having this breakdown / revelation, pity party awakening now? Yeah, because the whole universe is lined up to open this up in your life right now.
Absolutely.
Had I known that on Friday versus Monday, I would have felt a lot better through the weekend.
And
But I needed to struggle with it, and I needed to sit in it.
you do, and I think sometimes we want to skip to the end, which then brings us back to our previous favorite mantra on this show: is you can't cheat your way to your Girl or Boy Scout badge. So, these things all just go around in a circle. It's just, it's all like the micro-orbiting forces within ourselves, the kundalini, the hara of our life force. That's right, your chi, so it's happening to all of us, and it's just happening to us individually, all at the same time, and it's beautiful, and it's perfectly balanced because
in the whole. But the world's in a chaotic state as well at the macro level.
It is, and yet at the same time, the awareness that we are in the chaotic state brings about balance, because as more, again, it's that revolving, that circular thing that we're going through in this wonderful ascension growth process, spiritual growth, evolutionary growth, individual growth.
It's a lot of clearing.
Well,
Even more
yeah.
than I feel
Saturn,
I've grown
Scorpio
a lot
and Saturn.
by clearing,
Yeah.
man. And that releasing of those stories was cleansing.
Well, where you're going, you don't need to take all that baggage with you.
Yeah. And I'm not going to beat myself up for collecting it to begin with, because I actually needed it. I needed to struggle with those. Meditation, you're taught to sit with what shows up.
And you
I
can't
needed to
learn.
sit in my discomfort.
Well, not only that, but how do you learn the concept of letting go if you don't understand the concept of holding on?
Well, you got me there. That's perfect. I like that.
Thank you.
It's a good one.
So,
Like
yeah, and again, balance. So, how does this experience, this personal experience showing up for ourselves, help you? Because, we're all about you. This is the work that we do. This is the service that we provide. What we do for ourselves is what we offer to show to others, so they can in turn do for themselves.
Yeah, what you kind of see on the show is a little bit of self-therapy for sure. It's more just an acknowledgement of, hey, we all do struggle with these things, and what you end up seeing is kind of the end result of a lot of hours of practice, your daily practice, about learning a framework in which, why are you alive?
Yeah.
And what have the things that have happened to you really meant for you? If you're stuck in the story that they've all been brutal and you're victim, or woe is me, you're going to generate that energy, and a law of attraction, you're going to keep bringing that to you. And so how do you wake up? Or how do you have this big shift? You have to learn to see yourself in a whole new loving way.
Yeah.
In a more nurturing way, other than I'm just plowing through my week and all my tasks to get a paycheck that's already gone.
It makes me think of that example that you hear sometimes. Do you want to become a millionaire by hitting the jackpot, or do you want to nickel and dime your way? Regardless of how you get there, you still get there to that end point. And for some of us, it's a big shift, it's a big aha, it's the jackpot. And for others of us, it's just a bunch of different little shifts. And through awareness, creates a big change.
Right, and through right effort. The Buddhists would
That's
tell
right.
you it's right effort. You know, it's becoming a skilled user of your mental and compassionate emotion. To be a skilled person in the world of just like create as minimal negative energy as you can. You don't have to be a saint. You're never going to be a saint. You know, there's very few of those on the planet, but you can be in a lot more centered and happy space with yourself, and that creates a much happier, centered world around you. That is what we work with our clients on, and in the show you see how we use it for our own personal use, our own personal healing and development, why it's of value, and we think, you know, if you like it, you give us a call. We'll show you what we know how to do when we work with people to get similar results.
Yeah, we're not going to do anything to you we wouldn't do to ourselves, okay? So, fine.
Well, that's one way to put it.
So, you know, what do you do from here? Well, go through your week and, you know, pay attention to the energies that are flowing, because these energies are flowing. They started moving in about last Thursday or Friday. They'll keep going through the rest of the month, actually into the end of the month. We have a solar eclipse coming up towards the end of the month.
29th.
Something like that. Thank you, because I couldn't think of the date. And that's going to bring about another big shift. And so whether you believe in astrology or whatnot, you just can't get past the fact that we had this astronomical event take place this week. And for me, the balance was in understanding and knowing that we're not separate and we're not different. As I sat there and watched that eclipse, all around the world there were other people that were in its view line that were watching that eclipse as well. And that was a moment that we collectively shared. That was a moment where we collectively connected. Mm-hmm. And it was a very profound experience for me. And one that I am carrying through energetically through the rest of this week, because it was a connection that at times isn't always felt. Usually it's a tragedy that brings about that type of collective connection. And this was just so beautiful and so awesome, and right on a full moon. You know, this is like party time here, and we're all doing it. And it was interesting because I thought to myself, it was kind of quiet in my neighborhood, and remembering how in ancient times, you know, we would build huge bonfires and dance and create ceremony and, you know, take journeys during these kinds of events. And, you know, now, you know, most people were asleep, and at the exact moment that I had that thought, I heard neighbors 4 or 5 houses down start howling at the moon and whooping and hollering. And I was so grateful in that moment, because awesome. I knew then that I wasn't alone in that moment, and I wasn't just honoring and being in that space of witnessing that event alone. Nice. So that brought the balance of us and ourselves and our relationship with others, which is also what this full moon in Libra is about. You know, it's balancing our life with the life of others. It's balancing the will with the heart. It's the white dove merging with the eagle. So work with that energy this week. If you'd like more information or like to schedule a session with one of us to examine your story, to find more balance in your life, then contact us at the websites below. And anything else?
No, I think that covers it. It's it was an amazing couple of days here. The last 4 or 5 days, it's just been eye-opening and refreshing and liberating would be the word I would use. I feel liberated.
Yeah.
I feel that all the debris went away, but the essence of moments and behaviors, their truth is very clear to me.
Yeah.
So maybe I shouldn't say I killed Eric Redwoods.
You liberated.
I know he's gone in a fashion. I'm thinking
Okay,
of it
you
like
set him free.
a second stage rocket, right?
Okay.
It got me to this point, but now I have to let that go. it served its purpose, and I honor it. Without it, I wouldn't be here. But I'm done with it.
And now you're in
Right?
orbit.
I'm done with it. Yeah.
And now you're
exactly.
in orbit. I love that.
That would be that's the story.
That's
I'm going
awesome.
with.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm Eric Radwanski.
And I'm Sonia Lee.
Shit. That is awesome as hell.
If you didn't catch that,
Oh my
rewind.
God, no,
That
is
was so blessed.
Holy
That was so
crap.
blessed.
I'm Eric Thomas.
And I am Sonia Lee.
Be well.
Cosmic
Peace.
Slop Radio. I can't even talk. That was so
That is
awesome.